It all comes down to this. We are 60 minutes away from crowning a national champion. Indiana taking on Miami. Either the Hoosiers' first national championship, the Hurricanes trying to get back on top after 25 years in the dumps. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It will, as well as the Juicer. That's going to be a lot of fun. Look, I got wrongfully ousted in the semifinals of last year's Juicer tournament. Now it is 2026. I'm back for vengeance, and Milo Hoffman joins us tonight.
We'll also get into all the details from tonight's national championship game, give you our favorite players on the offensive, defensive sides of the ball. You don't want to go anywhere. The first No Pulp of 2026 starts right now.
The best performance, I think, all year from Ohio State against Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
They just don't lose at the shoe.
She's the best player in women's college basketball in my eyes.
To stay alive, can they hook 'em? Touchdown!
They have the most prolific goal scorer of all time.
He will fire.
He's the guy.
I'm the guy.
Ian's the guy today.
Experience is what matters when it comes to Omaha.
Valuable. You know the numbers is everything for a team. First time, how are we feeling, Jake?
I'm excited to win the Juicer.
Welcome in to No Pulp. I'm Adam Gotkin alongside Adam Avin, and it is time to preview the college football national championship game. And what a matchup this is. Indiana, a team that was the worst in the history of the sport up until, last year, this year, when Curt Cignetti showed up against Miami, who right before we were born was the cream of the crop. You had Sean Taylor,
National
all those
powerhouse
legends there. Then they fell off, but now they're back, and we've got a national championship game tonight, and oh boy, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Look, nobody wants to see the Hurricanes, as a Florida Gator fan, lose more than me. However, I will say right now, with the path that they've gone on, Adam, it's too undeniable to describe how good this Hurricanes team is. And if you can go look at our webisode how we talked about just the paths and how they got to this point. But the Hurricanes, the discussion of them not even being in the college football playoff is the thing that is most amazing to me. And what they've done so far through these first 3 games, there's a reason why they sit in the national championship game.
And with this Miami team, as you said, they barely made it to the college football playoff.
Just unreal.
And then when they got in, it was tight games. That opener at A&M, 10-3 the
All
final.
defense.
Then you beat Ohio State by 10. You have to go
Still
to the final play of the game to beat Ole Miss as Carson Beck runs it in. I mean, it was not easy for the Hurricanes to get to this point, but they have survived throughout the season, and they deserve to be here at this point. I think you could make the argument at the time they didn't deserve to make it in, but now that they're in, I mean, they deserve to be here. You can't say anything else. They've won 3 games.
And this is one of the things where you look back and you're like, well, how could we have said that Miami wasn't deserving of being in the playoff? Look, I was one of the people, although I did have the bias of growing up disliking Miami, was one of the people who said, I do think the committee got it right, that they should have been in the playoff. You got to give a guy like Nick Saban credit, who on game day every single Saturday was saying Miami is one of the most talented teams and rosters in all of college football, and what Mario Cristobal has done in his time there, leaving Oregon and kind of trying to rebuild the Hurricanes. There was a lot of skepticism over a lot of people as to whether he was actually going to be able to do the job, but right now it looks like they're sitting in the national championship game for a reason. That Cristobal's magic has worked a little bit. But you talk about the coaching magic and what the product is on the field. Nobody is making his team look as more prepared and better than Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers, Adam. What he has done with that program, you mentioned it to kick off the show, has been nothing but remarkable. To kind of compare these two, off the field and their coaching styles, what are you looking at in this championship game?
I mean, Cignetti is a winner, and there's no other way to describe him. Whether it was at Elon or IUP or JMU, he was winning football games. And I think that this might change how we look at coaches a little bit and realize that winning is a actual skill. Like, yes, you can call plays, you can recruit players, but some guys just win. And Curt Cignetti is a winner. I mean, he said it when he was hired, that he wins games. Look me up. Google me.
Google me.
And now, 2 years later, after the Google me, Google him and you see his team in the national championship game.
And the most impressive thing, and there's a point in the show maybe a little bit later where we'll talk about NIL and the transfer portal and all those things, but the roster itself with Indiana is what is so impressive. They dove into the transfer portal. They only have a couple guys on their rosters who are 4-stars. You look at a team like Miami, who has 5 stars from everywhere all across the country, with paying all these guys right out of high school, even in the transfer portal. We're talking about going and getting quarterbacks like a Carson Beck last year from Georgia. Indiana's not that team. Curt Cignetti is really building his program from the ground up.
I would hold on there a little bit because there is a lot of money. You look at their rich alumni like Mark Cuban, everyone who's graduated from the Kelly School. Indiana has money. But it is very impressive.
What I mean is the diamonds in the rough that maybe the top teams in the portal weren't looking at getting, right? And so Cignetti goes out, he gets his guy, Fernando Mendoza from Cal, kind of an underrated quarterback in the portal the last couple of years. And now he comes in this year and just looks like a completely new player. What he does on the field is absolutely unstoppable. But it's because of the trust that Curt Cignetti has in him. You see the path that he's taken so far. And everything is super impressive. Coach of the Year has won championships. Now he gets to Indiana, but 2 losses in 2 years to the eventual championship contender, and then this year perfect, sitting in the championship game once again. The success is undeniable. It's just remarkable to watch.
And I think you have to give all the credit to Cignetti for believing in himself all the way back in 2011 to leave Alabama, where he was the #1 assistant when it came to recruiting. He brought in guys like Julio Jones, Mark Ingram that won that national championship.
Pretty good track record.
Unbelievable for him to leave Bama, go to IUP, and look where he is now.
You're seeing the Bama mentality there at Indiana now, and that's a lot of reason why people think Indiana is going to be one of those teams you got to keep an eye out for a long time.
Oh, without a doubt. And one of the things that he's also brought that Bama had, Greg McElroy was the quarterback of that championship-winning team at Bama. Now he's in the booth. They got Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. You said at Cal last year, he was interesting. I always thought he was good. He had that big win end of the season against Stanford.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected this big of a leap for him, though.
No.
To go from, a good college quarterback to the Heisman winner and the probable #1 overall pick.
Yes, he's been nothing short of remarkable in what he's done on the field, but I kind of want to talk about his attitude off the field, because just watching this guy who might be one of the biggest nerds I've ever seen play the game of football.
A little cheesy.
A little corny. Miami, Mr. 305, always giving love to the hometown, always giving love to his family, to his friends, to the men above. This guy, everything that he believes is so amazing, from the sense of the passion that you can see it coming through his, not only what he says in his words, but his actions on the field. He's the ultimate believer in his team. Not only the belief that Coach Cignetti has in him, but the belief that he says to his teammates. How every time he gets a chance, when he's up there talking about the Heisman Trophy, it's a team. It's a team award. We all did it together. And honestly, the pieces that he has this year, he's made some of these guys NFL draft picks that were on nobody's radar before.
He's a star, he's a leader, and he is a very, very smart football player. I mean, originally committed to Yale and then went to Cal, which is also an incredible school. This is a smart player off the field, on the field, and it's going to be a really, really tough matchup for Miami to try and stop him. Quickly on the other side of things, the Hurricanes have Carson Beck, another guy who transferred in.
Yeah.
Do you fully believe in him yet? Because he's had a lot of games over his career in the big moment where he hasn't showed up. Last week he did.
Last week he did. The way that he ran to the end zone and kind of pranced in. That, I think, Adam, was the peak of what you were going to get. Kind of leading his team down the field. He has the big moment. Now, here's where things get tricky. He started the playoff. They were barely supposed to be in it. Just a 10-3 win. The offense didn't look that good. Then against Ohio State, that was a complete defensive matchup too. Miami's resume so far up until this point has been impressive because of the amount of wins they've gathered. When you look at what Indiana's done and what Mendoza's done, his stats don't pop off the board either, but he's so clutch and dominant that you look at that team as somewhat unstoppable. I don't know if Carson Beck is going to be able to match Mendoza and Indiana on this big of a stage where we've seen him choke before.
This Indiana defense is also, I think, at another level. Best in the country. I mean, they give up barely double-digit points a game. So it'll be interesting to see who wins the quarterback matchup, who wins the game, and who wins the juicer. The first one of the year coming up in just a moment. We've got Milo Hoffman joining the show, and you don't want to go anywhere because these guys are fiery, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Did I say hell yeah on there? Oops.
So you're just gonna pivot?
Welcome back into No Pulp. We are getting you ready for the national championship tonight. Indiana taking on Miami, and we've got the first juicer of 2026, Adam Avin, taking on Milo Hoffman. And of course, we'll be talking college football playoff here. And Adam, I'll go to you first. Right. Looking at things in more of a holistic viewpoint, who is the most disappointing team in this playoff?
Well, the key word there is the playoff. The most disappointing team so far through this point in the college football playoff has to be the Georgia Bulldogs, a team that was the second best team all season long. Yes, they had the bye week. We know the track record of when teams have the bye week in the playoff. It hasn't gone great. But for the majority of that game, the Bulldogs looked like they were going to break that streak, that they were going to advance throughout the playoff and ultimately end up in the national championship game. You can't tell me that if they do not advance that game, they wouldn't have beaten Miami or Ohio State for that matter. I mean, the offense still looked good with Gunnar Stockton. What they did was take their foot off the gas. That got Ole Miss back into that game. That wasn't the same Georgia team that would stomp on their SEC opponents' necks throughout the season. They let up at the end. And that's what got Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss back in that game. But the Bulldogs were the clear favorites on the right side of the bracket. That's what we're talking about. The path, the disappointment is because they did not.
Hold on, Adam. You started off by saying we're talking about the playoffs, but you can't talk about the playoffs without talking about the regular season. That's why Ohio State was the most disappointing in the college football playoffs. The #1 team in the country for all but 1 week in the regular season. Are you kidding me? Then you lose to Miami in your first game you play in the college football playoffs. I mean, this is a team that everyone thought was going to win, even after they lost the Big Ten championship game against Indiana. Still the betting favorites to win the national championship, trying to go back-to-back with Ryan Day, and you lose to Miami. And quite frankly, you don't look good at all. The offense was nowhere to be seen. They just got simply outplayed. And like I said at the top, they were the best team in college football throughout the entire regular season.
To me, this is pretty easy. You said that Georgia played pretty well throughout the game. They did. Yeah. Ohio State never even showed up, and because of that, to me, they're the most disappointing without a doubt. Milo, you get question number 1, but Adam, I'll go back to you here for question number 2. What was the best game of the playoff?
Well, I touched on it a little bit, but I do think that Georgia-Ole Miss game was the best game of the playoff for a lot of reasons. Not just that Georgia did step off the gas and got Ole Miss back into the game. That's what made it so exciting to begin with. But you talk about how it ended, how they went back and forth, how it led to a game-winning field goal from Lucas Canero, who has to be one of the best college football kickers I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you trust that guy with a 65-yard field goal, he's going to knock it down. But that game, the way that they did go back and forth, 33 points scored in the second half. And not only that, but we talked about the drama and the stage that it's on. It was the first real test for Ole Miss after Lane Kiffin departed and abandoned them right before their college football playoff run. That first game against Tulane, a team they already crushed earlier in the regular season, wasn't going to be a test. Georgia was the real stage for Pete Golding's squad, new head coach, going to carry on the mantle next year. Could he compete? Could he compete with a team like Georgia? And he did. And they won that game, and it was incredibly impressive. But that, to me, the way they went back and forth has to be the best game.
But Adam, I've heard you talking throughout the show. Miami deserves to be in the national championship. Yeah. Well, Ole Miss played Miami in the semifinals. You talk about a big stage. That one-ups your game just there. That was a quarterfinal matchup. I'm taking Ole Miss against Miami in the college football semifinals. Just look at the storylines coming into this game, right? I mean, Lane Kiffin. Everyone wanted Georgia to play Miami because the Carson Beck revenge game. But this game was absolutely amazing. Trinidad Chambliss played out of his mind. Miami still took the win. But you talked about the stage in which your game was played. The game that I'm talking about right now was just a stage above that. 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter, and then Carson Beck, the game-winning touchdown. He said that was the best feeling he's ever felt in his entire life. I mean, wide open, rushing into the end zone. I wish I could feel that once. I mean, unbelievable stuff. Carson Beck in the national championship, and what a game that was. It was a semifinal game. Yours is a quarterfinal game.
I think these are both great games, and this is a tough one for me. But, Adam, I'm going to have to go with you because I think that there was a lot more aura, you could say, around the game because we hadn't seen Ole Miss play a real team, but they played Tulane. That quarterfinal game was a huge test for them. So you take the lead 2-1. We go to question number 3. It all comes down to this, guys. Whoever gets this question wins the first juicer of the year. And Milo, I'll go to you first. The best single game performance so far in this college football playoff.
Well, Adam, you just talked about that game having aura. I'm going to go right back to that game. It's Trinidad Chambliss against Georgia. Over 360 yards, 2 touchdowns. After this game, I'm not going to lie, I would have taken Trinidad Chambliss on my NFL team. I'm a Jets fan, so listen, most quarterbacks in the college football
And he would have gone back to college.
Done there. Right,
Which
exactly.
he's trying to do.
Knowing my luck. But I mean, he was making these unbelievable throws that really nobody, he was going throughout the regular season. Everyone was impressed with him. But this game on such a big stage, he got it done against Georgia, and really everyone was downing him because everyone wanted Carson Beck. Ole Miss can stomping in without Trinidad Chambliss. They do not even come close to winning this game. And of course, the quarterback, the most important position in all of sports, that is. So Trinidad Chambliss, by far the most impressive single-game performance of the playoffs.
You're right. He did lead them down the field, but he wasn't the one who made the game-winning kick. I mean, Canero knocked it from 47 for the game winner.
What are you going to give it to the kicker?
He was the player of the game, in my opinion. I mean, he was awesome. Either way, I'm going to go early to the playoff because we are talking about the whole thing. And we look at what Miami has done and where they are now. We've been talking about how elite this defense is. Ruben Bain Jr. has been so impressive, especially in that game against Texas A&M and the Aggies. It's the reason why Miami is in the national championship game to begin with, is because of the single game performance that Ruben Bain Jr. put on. Not only did he have a blocked field goal, he had 7 QB pressures in that game, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. You know how many sacks he's had on the full season, including the playoffs? 8. He was known as one of the best defenders in the country to kick off the year. The stats were never there because he didn't have to get them because of how much pressure he put on the quarterbacks week in and week out. How they only allow 2 touchdowns per game. It's because of what Ruben Bain Jr. has done on the field and the intensity he brings to the Hurricanes defense.
I mean, you're comparing a defensive player to a quarterback right now.
They only gave up 3 points.
He did compare it. Wait, hold on. He did compare a defensive player to a quarterback, which makes it a lot tougher for him. But man, he did it. He made that argument very well.
On.
Adam Avin wins the juicer. I mean, 3
Ruben
sacks,
Bain,
7
awesome.
quarterback pressures.
360 yards.
Texas A&M only scored 3 points in that game. So because of that, Adam wins the first juicer of 2026. Big congratulations to you. A nice bounce back from that tough loss to the semifinal.
It's a good way to start 2026. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we will be back in just one moment here on No Pulp. You don't want to go anywhere because we'll dive a little bit deeper into this national championship matchup, give you some position groups to look out for.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back into No Pulp. Adam Gotkin, Adam Avin, fresh off his first juicer win of 2026.
He's talking about yourself in third person?
Yeah, a little bit. Milo Hoffman did a great job as the opponent. But we are going to talk about the 2 opponents facing off in the national championship game because it's the biggest thing happening in college sports right now. We still got Indiana and Miami, where the national championship game is being played back home in the 305 at Hard Rock Stadium. And we're going to talk about the skill positions in this game. And we're going to head to the beach. You see it a little bit here. Ooh. We got some of our guys on the wave surfing because a lot of skill takes place out there, Adam. So let's talk about some of these guys. Who do you want to touch on first as somebody who's going to be crucial for either team in this championship?
I look at these Indiana skill position players, and I think that they can really bring the Hoosiers to victory. I love Roman Hemby as their lead back. He was at Maryland before he went to Indiana, and he's an absolute monster. And then you look at the receivers that they have with Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, both guys with over 10 touchdowns this season. Right. They're great run blockers as well. They run good routes. They do all the little smart things right, which really is, I think, a testament to Kirk Cignetti and what he does. His teams play smart football, and you see that even with his wide receivers and running backs and the way that they block.
Indiana's so prepared. They always look like they're going to go out there and crush you no matter what. But I think Miami has the better skill position players in this game, but I don't think they have the better quarterback. But you look at a guy like Malachi Toney, who, if there was a wide receiver or a skill position player that I could take to start a team in college football right now, I'm taking Malachi
Jeremiah
Toney.
Smith.
They're neck and neck to me. What he's done this year has only shown to me that he's one of those top guys. But you can't look at this Miami team without Mark Fletcher and what he's done this year. 12 touchdowns. 1,200 yards on the ground. He's kind of unstoppable and one of those big guys. He reminds me a lot of Dalvin Cook when he was back at FSU, just kind of rolling over guys. Also happens to wear that number 4 jersey as well. But the way that Fletcher kind of bulldozes people, similarly to Avin in Indiana, the way that they kind of run like Isaiah Pacheco, you know what I mean? Head down, just going through the whole defense is awesome to me. But the way that these receivers and Mark Fletcher have worked together, CJ Daniels, Malachi Toney, the Miami offense is clicking right now in a way that we haven't seen it do all year. So I think we're looking at the 2 best offenses and defenses for the matter in the country.
All right, so we started off on the beach. Where else you got to go in Miami? The club, right? Yeah, that's what you do. We got our bouncers here.
I don't go there. What club is this?
Who's hard? I don't know. Club football. Who's harder to get by? The defenses. Who are you picking?
I mean, I got to go that guy because I just talked about him last. Ruben Bain Jr. is one of the most difficult guys to guard in the country, and it's because of the pressure that he brings. We talk about a guy like Chop Robinson, a guy who you know very well, coming up through Penn State in the Maryland circle. He's a guy who didn't have a lot of sacks in college. Why? Because he was always the first person at getting to the quarterback, and he made the ball get thrown away. 8.5 sacks doesn't scream out to you as one of the best defenders in the country, but everything else does, and all these accolades and awards recognize why Ruben Bain Jr. just happens to be that guy and is every quarterback's worst nightmare. He's proven that throughout these playoffs so far, made Julian Sain look like a rookie, which he hasn't much of the season. Just so impressive to me.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think that this Miami defense, Ruben Bain, you can't forget about Akeem Messidor as well. I mean, this is a front seven
that a
lot of NFL teams, I think, would struggle to go against.
100%.
I think it's going to be very, very tough for anyone on Indiana to get time.
100%. So we have our big guys here. We both like Ruben Bain Jr. and what the pressure can do on the Miami defense. But we talk about pressure. Where do you go to feel the pressure? You go to the casino. So we're going to go to the Hard Rock, which is about 10 minutes from my house down there. We're actually in Hollywood. We moved up north to Hollywood right now. But we got our faces
Everyone's
here.
got the same hand, by the way.
I know. I know, but it's a good night. If I'm having this hand, I'm having a good night. Either way, we're at the casino now. We're putting all our chips on a team to win, Adam. Who you got? Indiana, Miami.
All on Indiana. Look, this Hoosiers team has been flat out special this year, and I think they dominate. 38-14 is my prediction. We've seen blowouts in the national championship in the past. You think of Michigan beating TCU by almost 50. Clemson won in a blowout a couple of years ago. This happens, and I don't think there's any reason to think that Kirk Cignetti will take his foot off the gas, because what he does is blow teams out. We saw it all last year. We've seen it so far this playoffs with 2 30-plus point wins.
And you know what? I completely agree with you. I don't think we're going to say he's taking the foot off the gas, but I do think they're going to go up so big, and the Miami defense is good enough to slow them down. I'm also taking the Hoosiers. We're here together.
Nice.
And I'm putting all my chips there because exactly what we said. I'm taking them 31-27. I think it's going to be a little bit closer, but I do think the Hoosiers take this one. I really do believe that they're going to go in, they're going to dominate and just look like the better team, and the Hoosiers are going to win in Miami at Hard Rock on the Hurricanes' home turf. We will be right back on No Pulp with our plays of the playoffs and our final words from this college football season ahead of the national championship game. We'll be right back.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear. needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Well, we're just about ready to wrap up shop here on No Pulp ahead of the national championship game between Indiana and Miami. That's Adam Avin. I'm Adam Gotkin. And before we say goodbye, we want to go through our plays of the playoffs. And I'll get us started. To me, I thought that this was pretty easy because this play that I chose won Miami a game and brought him to the national championship. Carson Beck's scramble to the end zone, only 3 yards, but it was the game winner to take the Hurricanes to the national championship game. Look, the clutchness to scramble out of the pocket, get to the end zone. Carson Beck, a guy who I've got a lot of bad things to say about, showed up in the moment.
He really did. And he doesn't always run with his legs like that, but the way that he did it and ran to the end zone untouched was awesome. Let's talk about another guy who walked in the end zone untouched. D'Angelo Pons and Indiana, the Peach Bowl against Oregon. Not only the way that it happened, but how he kicked it off in such fashion. Picks off Dante Moore, who has to return to college because he can't end his career on that. D'Angelo Pons walks into the end zone, kicks off the Peach Bowl with that pick six, and Indiana goes on to score 50 points in that game. Complete and utter dominance from Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers, and Pons kicked it off in a big way. Expect him to step up big in the national championship game, too, and give Carson Beck some trouble.
Well, if I haven't made it clear already, I think that Indiana is going to win tonight. And I think that this is going to cap off the best story in the history of college football. I mean, we are talking about the team that was literally the losingest program in the sport. And now, after just 2 years with its new head coach, is probably, I think, going to be holding the national championship trophy above their heads. I mean, it is just flat out special stuff that you can only dream about. This is at the level of Leicester City winning the Premier League. All of those crazy upsets you can think about in sports, this is there because, well, you're talking about, again, the worst team to the national champion. I don't think that we'll ever see anything again just like it, if I'm being completely honest. Curt Cignetti, an all-time coach in just 2 years in FBS.
That's definitely a good story. I do think the Hoosiers are the favorites, but let's talk about what's going on because the offseason is overlapping with our national championship game here. So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine your team's starting quarterback announces he's returning. The team spends a month building the roster around him, and then 1 hour before the transfer portal closes, that same quarterback posted he's entering the portal, leaving his team stranded with no quarterback and no answers. This is exactly what Darian Mensah just did to Duke this week, proving once again why NIL is college football's biggest issue. On December 19th, Mensah posted a dramatic LeBron decision-like video where he announced his return to Duke. It's quite ironic because, like LeBron, he's rumored to take his talents to South Beach and being paid a load to do it. But that video shouldn't have come as a surprise because when he first joined the Blue Devils, he signed a 2-year contract worth $4 million. The contract also granted Duke his exclusive NIL rights. And this is the real issue here. The NCAA has made it clear that NIL is not pay to play. These players are not employees. Hypothetically, if Mensah does commit to Miami, Duke can refuse to terminate his contract. There's no buyout in it. There is no negotiation. And even a huge legal battle is what this can break out into over what it means for a player to leave a school while they still control and have his NIL rights. So when Mensah posted on X that he was entering the transfer portal, he said the decision was in his best interest. But I think it's been made very clear that situations like this are not in the best interest of college football and for the integrity of the sport that we both love.
You know, Adam, I saw something on Twitter earlier today that was saying you can compare the new portal potentially to buy games in college sports, where could we see teams like Miami paying $10 million to a school to get their quarterback? That would fund Duke's team. I don't think that's the worst thing. It's like in soccer, you have the transfer rules where you pay a team for the player. I think it's not awful.
It's not, but this isn't a trade where in the NFL where a team, let's say Tua Tagovailoa gets traded to another team, where the Dolphins would have to pay a portion of that salary. This is a big disagreement because Darian Mensah wouldn't be an employee. They don't have any rights to the money. So Duke is just paying all this money for no reason.
All right, well, college sports are confusing, aren't they? Well, you know what? The one thing that'll always be the same, watching the games is incredible. Enjoy the national championship. We've both got Indiana winning. We'll see what happens.